A tempest is on the rise in the center of Europe. The once stable German economy is currently in the midst of a number of crises, including political unrest. Uncertainty reigns, but what's really happening behind the scenes? Let's take a look at Germany's current problems, which pose threats to both its future and the future of Europe as a whole. But before we get into the specifics, make sure you subscribe to POLİTHİNK Sense and hit that like button. We're dedicated to giving you the best updates, so you won't want to miss out, okay? Now, let's jump in. After WWII, Germany became a manufacturing powerhouse known for its excellent engineering and large-scale factories. However, in recent years, the country's economy has struggled, and its leaders, led by Chancellor Olaf Scholz, have been unable to reach a consensus on many issues, resulting in a near paralysis of government. Then, in November, a budget crisis hit, causing the government's popularity to plummet. The dispute centered around filling a €17 billion gap in the budget, which had been caused by a court ruling that had previously invalidated the previous spending plan. Germany's debt brake legislation, which attempts to keep deficits low, affected this choice. Foreign demand for German goods has decreased due to the global crisis and the emergence of new competitors in the US and China. The German government is unable to invest in essential services like schools due to tight borrowing regulations and a decline in exports, which once brought in a lot of money for the country. Rails and electricity G networks, which are in dire need of an update, were the objects of mayhem in Berlin at the turn of the year when furious farmers blocked roadways with tractors while honking their horns in protest of planned budget cutbacks. Engineers' walkout leaves commuters stuck, causes massive traffic jams, and has a ripple effect throughout the economy. Last year, Germany's economy shrank by 3%, making it the biggest economy in the Eurozone. But it also had the slowest growing industrial production. Production has been falling for 5 months in a row, so things are pretty stagnant in Germany right now. Experts predict that Germany will face tough economic times this year, with GDP growth expected to fall due to stagflation pressures, declining manufacturing activity, and budget constraints impacting households and consumers. According to the International Monetary Fund, Germany's economy is likely to contract this year, further highlighting its role as a leading example of slow development among major European countries. The situation is expected to worsen from here. The OECD has issued a warning that Germany could be hit hard by a global economic slowdown. This means that trade will be weaker and interest rates will be higher. The situation could worsen in the new year as a result of a conflict in the Red Sea, which has slowed down the flow of raw materials from Europe to Asia through the SS Canal Dro by more than 70%. As if that weren't bad enough, Germany is already experiencing production shortages and is in recession along with the rest of the Eurozone. It appears that the German economy will shrink even more in 2012. The biggest problem is the high interest rates, which are weighing down the economy, but if we try to lower them, it might lead to inflation. Now we can shift our focus to Germany's automotive sector, a major player in Europe. Despite its reputation for mobility innovation, it is confronting severe competition from China. Infrastructure and trained laborers are two of Germany's strongest suit when it comes to the automotive industry. But at the moment, China is more powerful in terms of technology and industry. In terms of e-mobility, Germany is slipping behind. Germany is struggling to compete with China due to financial concerns and the fact that almost all automobiles here still operate on gas. Plans to move to electric cars also look overly ambitious. Germany is more dependent on China for goods like batteries, and investments have been halted. Sales. The German auto sector is certainly in a precarious position. Recent economic data has been unflattering, and industry heavyweights in Germany are understandably worried about the state of the property market. Data from the IFO Institute for Economic Research shows that sentiment and expectations for the German residential construction sector hit record lows in January, according to Dominik von Achten, head of a German building materials company. If this trend continues, the future does not appear bright. Let's discuss the political unrest in Germany. The country's budget plan for 2024 was rejected by the Constitutional Court, who deemed it unlawful since Germany is unable to borrow money. As a result, subsidies for farmers would be slashed by 17 billion a year. The government remains steadfast in its decision, despite losing support from voters, over 80% of whom support the protests. This decision has sparked protests and strikes by farmers, railway workers, and others, further darkening the outlook for the recession. The streets remain congested, and Vice-Chancellor Robert Habeck has even brought up the prospect of a cool data scandal to defuse the tension. Germany's political situation has been quite chaotic for some time. The situation escalated during the Israel-Palestine conflict, with protests in support of Palestine sparking debates about migration and integration. The government has been attempting to deport individuals who enter Germany illegally. To top it all off, Defense Minister Boris Pistorius believes that Germany and its citizens should prepare for a possible war in Europe due to the crisis between Russia and Ukraine. Well, there is some good news. He even suggests that we may not be able to rely on U.S. assistance in the event that things go wrong. Economists predict that the two-digit inflation rate fell to 3.8% in December and that high interest rates will begin to decline later this year. Wages are likely to rise as a result of factors such as strikes like the one that occurred on the train. German engineers are considering increasing expenditure, which might lead to higher inflation. Despite these gains, Germany still faces significant challenges. A big problem is that there aren't enough energy sources at home. As a result, important industries like chemical and steel production, which witnessed an 11% decline in output last year, must rely on imports. In 2022, when Russia cut off gas supplies, the German government moved quickly to approve the construction of liquefied natural gas terminals. However, the country's efforts to modernize its antiquated bureaucracy hit a roadblock last year, with public offices still failing to provide digital services as promised in 2017. As a result, the private sector in Germany is experiencing a growth slowdown due to the excessive paperwork. Shall we take a peek at what is ahead? Throughout the last century and a half, Germany has been pivotal in shaping Europe's landscape. Now that Germany is in the midst of a crisis, following the fall of the Berlin Wall and its rise to economic powerhouse status in the Eurozone, the future of Europe is uncertain. It could witness anything from a decline in the economy and high inflation to financial crashes, conflicts, and demographic crises. Germany is facing a severe shortage of skilled workers, particularly engineers, due to the aging population in the region. Economists are concerned that the pension system will not be able to sustain the current level of retirement benefits. As a result, millions of Germans are working extra jobs to supplement their pensions, which has led some to refer to this situation as the death of the German pension dream. If this trend continues, it is hard to predict how other European countries, such as Croatia, will be impacted. Regarding Germany's future and its influence on Europe's trajectory, what are your thoughts? Please don't hesitate to share your ideas and opinions with us in the comment box. We value your input greatly. If you're interested in global politics and economics, we have more videos in the works specifically for you. So be sure to subscribe and catch us in the next one. Your opinions count.